Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. Forgot to put myself behind that little video there. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. Welcome to the final episode of the monthly comic book review for 2023. Tonight, me and a panel of esteemed comic book and YouTube enthusiasts and experts will be talking about our favorite comic books of December 2023. We got a great panel. I see everybody already pre-gaming out there in the chat. Thank you all for being here, including the panel. Kicking us off tonight, the one, the only, Brainiac. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. You?
Oh, I'm doing great, buddy. I'm just sitting here ready.
Now, I'd like 2 eggs over hard.
You did it to yourself.
I did it to myself.
It probably doesn't feel the same, though.
Yeah. Speaking of never feeling the same when he does it to himself, it's Nick from Comic Culture.
What? Station guys, what's going on, man? What's going on?
Happy to have you here. Nick's the
oh yeah.
Nick's been here all 12 months. Every show this year with me. That's awesome.
We said it 12 months ago. Here we are, man. Here we are. Glad to be here. Thanks again. Oh, as always, dude. Thanks so much.
Heck yeah, and super excited to have this dude back. It's the one and the only, and be sure to check out his channel, Lost in Comics, January 11th, I believe. He'll let us know the deets. It's Chris. What is up, my man?
Congratulations, you guys. 12 months of this beautiful, beautiful show. Just happy to be part of it. Happy to have a small little part of this, man. Happy
and are
for you
your
guys.
awards on the 11th? Is that when it is?
January 11th, 2024, Comic Awards Show presented by Comic Creators. Man, I cannot wait.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Speaking of presented by comic book creators, it's Manny. I don't know how that applies, but welcome.
Is it going to be Cullen Bunn?
He's muted.
Are you doing the
Don't
bit,
tell him.
Ron?
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
This is a bit.
It's a bit.
No, I don't think it is.
Gone.
All right, and rounding out the panel, last but certainly not least, it's Carrie, the officially unofficial geek.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Carrie.
Carrie.
Happy to be here.
Happy to have y'all here. Look at all the beautiful people out there in the chat. We got CMA Thunder Rolls. We got Anissa. We got Spilio. We got OUG. We got Eddie. We got Eric. We got Nick. We got Average Comics Joe. Look at all these beautiful people.
Nice.
We got Manny in the chat. That's where he has his voice.
That's right.
His voice is in the chat. You back, Manny?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, we're going to start with Manny tonight. So Manny,
Yep.
I'm just kidding. All right. There may be some slight spoilage in some of the books that we'll be talking about on this show this evening. However, it's not going to be too major, I'm certain, because, I mean, honestly, there's nothing super major to spoil right now. We'll find out more about whatever. I don't know where I'm going with that. All right. I'm going to be nice because I've been in the Christmas spirit. We're reflecting on the year. We got the next year to come. So, Brian, why don't you kick us off? I think this might be your first time you get the first pick for the monthly review. So why don't you tell us what your pick of the month is? Oh, there you are, Manny.
Hey, there he is.
All right. Got it going. Now we can start.
Yep.
This was a hard month for me. There was a lot I liked. So it was really actually hard for me to find one that stood out. I did take a break from my weekly reading and I read Bakuman, which is a 20-volume manga. So like I got kind of out of sorts there halfway through the month. And I don't recommend doing that in 2 weeks. I'm just going to say it out there. It's good, but man, that was a lot. But I spent some time this afternoon and I'm going to go with Kota, number 4. This is volume 2 of Kota. I've just been loving this series, and I read the first one about a month or two before this came out, and I do like this team. It's Cy Spurrier and Matthias Bergara, and but it's a love story between two people that clearly don't match, and you got a warrior woman and a kind of wizard dude, and but in this fantasy world though, the magic has kind of gone away, and there's a substance called Acker that they use for doing magic, and it's in short supply and everything like that. But this one really delves into the relationship between these two characters, and then kind of putting that relationship over a traditional adventure quest kind of trope from fantasy type adventure quests, and then it all one of Cy Spurrier's things with this series was trying to kind of update fantasy tropes some, because in his opinion they were all pretty much followed the same structure and everything like that. And I think he's done a pretty good job with this. And this issue I think brought that home pretty well. And I think the next issue is the last one, but I don't know. I can keep reading stories in this world. It's just great. And then the art by Matias Bergara it's just phenomenal. I don't know.
Well, the only thing I can speak on is the art, because I haven't been following that series. I dropped out of the first series pretty quickly. I only read the first one of this. The art is gorgeous, but I just couldn't quite get into it. I just felt, especially on this volume, I felt lost. But apparently you told me, well, you have to read the first series to get into it. But the art is gorgeous, and it's just not something I've been sinking my teeth into. What about you, Nick? You reading this?
Yeah. No, I haven't. I picked up the first issue and I read through that one, but I realized I was like, I'm not really doing it justice because I haven't read the first volume. So I need to go back. I know Eric is a huge proponent of this series. I need to go back and read volume 1 first. I think I have a trade, but it's on the list. So I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it took this long to get on the monthly review show, but I'm not surprised it eventually landed here. So.
Yeah, and there's a nice deluxe hardcover edition that just recently came out right before this series launched.
Cool. Yeah.
So, Chris, are you covering and consuming the comic Kota? Did you like that alliteration? Did you like that? Did you notice that?
I have not been, man. I've heard all sorts of great things about it, but I have never dove into that world. So, but
all right. What about you, Manny? Have you dove in? Because usually you're the first to dive in any circumstance or situation.
Every freaking time. No, I did read some of it by accident. It's Cy Spurrier, so it showed. So I bought it on Kindle, but I didn't know that the fourth one was out. I did just pick up the third one, and that's confusing. It's very confusing. But it's a very pretty book. It's got good colors. I don't know what's going on, but it's not so like impossible to like understand the story. It's confusing, but it's still basically there's this big story and they're like or this big battle, they're recovering from this big battle, and there's this guy, he's writing asshole everywhere. So that's easy enough to follow. I understand assholes. And as far as I got it, that third issue was captivating enough. It's a cool world. I want to dig more deeper though.
All right, speaking of digging deep, Carrie, you reading this one?
No, you said it was Spurrier or Spurrier.
Spurrier, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And is what's the rest of the team? What's the
it's Matias Bergara.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I didn't check to see who lettered it. I think Matias does the colors too, though. Lettered by Jim Campbell, but yeah, it's he does the colors too. So
who published this one?
Boom.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the hardcover, by the way.
It seems like a big emotional mess,
awesome.
and that is like totally up my alley. Big emotional messes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably gonna have to catch that in trade.
Heck yeah, Brian, are you trying to be the do the hipster pick of the month? Is that what you're trying to do here, man? You trying to find the one thing that nobody else has read? Were you expecting to be last on the panel tonight?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed this issue. When I put it down, I was like, yeah, no, this is really, really good.
You know what's really cool about this though? Like all joking aside,
Mm-hmm.
All joking aside, what's really cool about this sort of thing is someone coming and bringing a book like this to this panel where you're like, nobody is reading it. I barely have heard of it, and it's introducing it to all of us and everyone in the chat. It's pretty cool.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Brian. That was very well done.
Well, I just thought it was a good Christmas gift because I figured I was going to be surprised if a bunch of people had read it. So I thought I wouldn't take somebody else's pick too. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Surprise.
That's a surprise. We didn't read it. Eric
right,
did.
Nick,
He loved it.
Your turn.
Oh man.
What is your pick of the month?
I'm going to do something a little unconventional for this panel, and I think this is going to be fun. Even more unconventional than what Brian just did. I'm going to pick a Marvel book. Believe it or not.
Holy shit. Get out
I know. Yeah, I had to wait for my 12th visit in a row before I dropped the bomb like this. But I'm going to go with, I think, a safe bet, man. I'm going with Gods, issue number 3, Hickman. This was actually a really fun book. I love this series so far. And if you haven't been reading it yet, we have a lot of different things going on. We basically started with this in-betweener avatar trying to mess everything up, all the magic users coming together to take on this threat. We're still trying to investigate that, but we're introduced to this new, these two different orders, the powers that be and natural order of things. Wynn, who's like a Constantine in the Marvel universe, that's the best way to describe him. A lot of new characters were introduced. I love the vibe and the feel of this book in particular. If you're into the magic world, if you want to see that underbelly of the mystic arts, I think this is a really cool book that showcases that very, very well, especially through the art and coloring. It's an absolutely gorgeous book. There's a lot of cool things going on. I feel like it has that Hickman flair that I've been missing, that I didn't get in the previous runs, like with Ultimate Invasion and everything. And I'm just really digging this book. Do I know everything that's going on? No, absolutely not. But I like the implications of the book. I like the high stakes. I like that, Doctor Strange is absolutely freaking out because we have Oblivion coming back finally in this issue. And like, that's the end all be all, right? And so I think the stakes are extremely high. The banter's fun. The character interaction's cool. I like all the new things they're introducing. I know it could be a little heady, maybe. I don't know. I've heard a lot of negative things about this book, but I'm eating it up, man. I can't get enough of this iteration that Hickman's putting out right now. So I'm really, really digging Gods, especially this issue here, because Oblivion's here, man. And what the heck are you going to do about that?
I'll tell you what, I'm a big mark for Hickman, right? Like, I absolutely adore Jonathan Hickman's work, but I'm not still sold on Gods. Like, I'm not 100% sold on it. I like it. I think it's good, but I feel like they want it to I feel like they want it to have like a wide scale, like a grandiose scope. And I don't necessarily get it. Now, I love that Hickman's kind of telling like more of a personal kind of story with it. And like you're talking about playing around with magic in the Marvel universe. And also basically the promise is that this is kind of reformatting or resetting the cosmology of the Marvel universe as well, because they're dealing with some of those big giant concepts.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, there's something about it though that's just, it's not quite selling me. And I wonder if that's a response to the abandonment of his X-Men plan, right? Yeah. And if I'm worried that he's just going to set something up for like Karen Gillan to come in and make boring as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But
I totally
understand. Know. But I don't know.
I totally get. It reminds me of kind of like watching Harry Potter, and you get that view into the underworld. You know what I mean? You have all these mystical characters and this whole thing set up, and it's just a cool book that is not tied into anything else Marvel's doing right now, which is also kind of annoying at the same time, but it's fun. I'm having a blast with this book though. So yeah, definitely a worthy Marvel book in my opinion.
What about you, Chris? You reading this one?
I read the first two issues and I gave up on this third one. And my thing is, it's like you're talking about these big implications that this series has. What Jonathan Hickman, it's grandiose, like a Hickman book should be. But for me, it's like, what does it really mean? Like, I'm reading Doctor Strange. It's a whole other story going on in the Doctor Strange book. Nothing to do with what's going on in Gods. So I appreciate what you said, Nick, about, it's like it's its own thing. But I'm kind of tired of giving that pass to Marvel. Like, DC finally got it together, the continuity, all these beautiful books that are just working in harmony together. And Marvel, I have this thing, Gods. It's like, what the hell is this? And then we have Ultimate Universe coming up. And then we've got some good stuff going on. I just, I don't know. I can't get into it, man. But it is a little heady for me as well. And as I'm reading it, I'm like, what is this?
I dig that. I really appreciate Average Comics Joe comparison in the chat to New Gods. Like, it is kind of feel like he's kind of trying to set up this like epic, eternal conflict kind of vibe that Kirby was doing. And God, could you imagine Jonathan Hickman doing a New Gods book with someone like Hayden Sherman? Could you imagine that? That would be freaking amazing. Manny, you reading Gods? My bad. Gods. Are you reading Gods? Because Gods, I guess, stands for something, right?
Yeah. It's all
no, not at all.
Okay. What about you, Carrie?
I am not reading it either. I'm just, it took me forever to read Hoxpox. So, and by the time I read Hoxpox, it was like Krakoa was almost over. But I definitely was kind of looking to see what the reception was of the series, and it's been so mixed. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's been pretty mixed.
For Gods or GODS? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Hickman seems to be kind of a polarizing writer. It's like you either love him or you hate him for the most part.
I absolutely loved Hoxpox. When I read it, I was just like, this is damn fine entertainment. And then I came to find out that, Krakoa was almost over. But, that's just no, I've been kind of waiting to see what happens with it.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So far, so good. A book no one's heard of and a book everybody hates. All right, Chris, the bar's real low. Buddy.
Nobody's like hating on it. But Brian, I know you're reading this one, man.
Oh, so Brian, my apologies, Brian.
Yeah, no, I'm reading it and I am digging it. I am a little lost, but I have so much trust in Jonathan Hickman when it comes to Marvel books. To me, he's never missed, except for maybe when he was on Ultimate, when he did like kind of the I don't. He did one Ultimate run that like was good, but it just wasn't great.
The Ultimates, when he took over the Ultimates and Sam Humphries came in after him, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and then he did a Thor miniseries. Working on bringing him back, and that but those weren't more like, I wouldn't say they were bad. They just they didn't blow me away, like, because I found out about Jonathan Hickman through Marvel when he started that Secret Warriors series, and I freaking love that. That's one of my favorite superhero runs of all time. That Secret Warriors series that he did, and pretty much became an instant fan. And and then from there he took over Fantastic Four after Mark Millar. And then that I know a lot of people didn't like that Avengers run, but I thought it was brilliant.
Hickman's Avengers run?
Yeah.
Well, I love Hickman's Avengers
run. Pretty well, I thought. Yeah.
But it was so good. So yeah, I have full trust in him, and that he's gonna. And yeah, it may not fit into the Marvel continuity, but for me, I'm not. All the Marvel books I get are kind of street level or Doctor Strange, so I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of it, that it abandons all its other things. And we're not talking about the overall overarching Marvel continuity right here. I'm talking about this single issue and how, it's just like its own standalone little story. And I thought it was executed really well. So the hell with everything else they're doing. This is a pretty good issue, I thought.
Yeah. So wait, this isn't in continuity?
No, sorry. Continuity is the wrong word. It doesn't take in consideration all this other mutants are getting annihilated. All this other crap is going on. It's its own isolated story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Continuity was a misspeak.
All right. What about you, Chris? What's a book you want to highlight for this month?
Let's talk about something good this evening. Let's go over. I'm just kidding, Nick. I'm just kidding, man. Let's go over to man. I didn't think it would make it to me, but let's go with Duke, issue number 1 yesterday, man. Image, Skybound, Joshua Williamson doing fun things with comic books. Tom Riley on sweet, beautiful art. Jordi Belair on beautiful colors. And let's not forget Russ Wooten right on letters. But man, I feel like this year, 2023. It's been the year for me of taking these characters that I just really didn't care too much for. I've talked about Green Lantern earlier in the year when Jeremy Adams took over that book. I care about Hal Jordan now. Duke, a character that I didn't really have all that much experience with, giving me a number 1 issue like this that gets me excited for a book like this. That is the sign of a well-written, a beautifully executed comic book. And when I was a kid, I had a very casual relationship with G.I. Joe. I mean, I enjoyed the toys. I didn't really watch the cartoons, but to take somebody like that and to make me a fan in 1 issue, I think that's a job well done. If you read Transformers issue number 1, you remember that scene where the Decepticons take out Duke and his friend out of the sky. Spoiler alert, that is where the book actually picks up. Duke is actually pissed off. He wants answers. But what the hell are these these Decepticons? And that leads him into questioning everything. He's dedicated his life to serving in the U.S. military, and now he feels kind of betrayed and abandoned by them. They're not giving him the answers that he wants. And something kind of small that, as I was going through the book, huge X-Files fan. I know I don't want to relate this to the X-Files, but it kind of felt like an episode of the X-Files where Mulder, he's always seeking the truth, right? And Duke is kind of doing that same kind of thing. He kind of gave me those vibes. And as soon as I felt that inside, that little nostalgia, I'm like, dude, I'm all in on this book. And Duke, you know, as far as what I've known about him, he's always been like this very do-gooder, very, you know, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. And I think this first issue just kind of turned that on its head a little bit and made a lot of sense. But again, he's dedicated his life to service, and now he feels a little bit betrayed. So fantastic first issue. I loved it. I think this is what gets people excited about comic books, taking characters like this, making us actually care about them. I like this so much. Excellent first issue.
I am right there with you, Chris. Like, I enjoyed G.I. Joe enough as a kid, but I didn't think the cartoon was the best. And when I tried to rewatch it as an adult, it's not my favorite. I did like the toys, but I was more into like Masters of the Universe or Silverhawks or Thundercats or something like that, right? Or even Transformers. But, and I always have thought Duke was super lame, just super like not cool, just could never get into him. But man, they made him super cool. It's like action packed. It's got a furious pace to it. The artwork by Tom Riley is absolutely astonishing. Jordy's colors are so amazing. Russ Wooten's lettering is amazing, especially when he has room on the panels to put that lettering in there. And Daniel Warren Johnson isn't cluttering everything up. So notice the difference in the lettering. He's able to be a little bit more spacious with it. But I loved it so much. And I see Average Comics Joe out here like, man, Marvel really missed a shot to have this team on a Captain America book, because this felt more like a Captain America book that I want to read than anything Cap all year long.
Heck yeah.
I freaking loved it. And all of the teases and Easter eggs for those of us who do know certain things, like when they go to Mars Industries and we see all the Cobra technology in there. We see the bats. We see the helicopters and the tanks and all that stuff. We see Destro. And it's one of the best moments in the whole freaking thing, man. I absolutely loved it. What about you, Manny? What'd you think about Duke? Was it a fluke?
Well, Duke is a book that I had to also pick up on Kindle because I didn't pre-order it because it's fucking G.I. Joe. Who cares going into it? But I did read it after Robbie made a pick of the week, and then I watched Chris's video. I was like, all right, I've got to watch this. He's saying X-Files. I got to see this. And it's a good fallen hero trope book. I like it for the Easter egg stuff. I'm not a G.I. Joe dude, so it's like I knew who Destro was when they showed him, but I was like, I don't know what all those weapons are. I was like, oh, Mars must be where they make the G.I. Joe thing, and that was it. It was a good story that kept you captivated. It was a hero that lost his faith in his military because no one believes him, and he wants to find out what the hell is happening with a giant robot jet plane. And as cool as that is, it's not anything super new, but it was entertaining. I'm not super on the hype train quite yet, but I do like everything else in the Energon universe, so I'll continue to give it a look. I do think it was a really, really good book about a guy, you know, who has to go on a clandestine mission to get some answers to something traumatic in his life. But I don't know that it was anything that we have not seen before just with a G.I. Joe coat of paint.
Well, I'll tell you this, though. One thing that it's not something we haven't seen before, but it's something that we don't typically see in mainstream comics right now is an excellent first issue that introduces someone to a concept that they may or may not be familiar with. True. Right? And I mean it. Like, if you're not a Joe fan and know nothing about it, you don't need to. Like, it's like, this is just slowly spoon feeding. Like, and if you do know G.I. Joe, you're like, wait, why is Mercer with Cobra right now? Like, what's going on? In fact, Cobra didn't even exist yet. This whole thing is going to be telling us the rise of Cobra and the formation of G.I. Joe. So
that little backup snippet with Cobra Commander in that bar was
the preview.
Phenomenal.
Dude, when I was on the conference call with Josh Williamson and he said Cobra Commander's a horror comic, I was like, what? Yeah, awesome. So okay. And he's like, Duke is action, Cobra Commander's horror. And I'm like, I
can't wait.
Freaking pumped. Carrie, did you read Duke?
I absolutely did. And I was a G.I. Joe girl. Okay. I had Lady J. I had Scarlet. Believe me, I watched the series. I loved it. I'm 42 years old. It was Transformers, G.I. Joe, Gem, Thundercats, all that stuff. All that. Okay. But when I read this, it was so awesome. And that moment where Destro is there, Destro, I can't say the name Destro most times without doing the Baroness accent. Okay. So that little moment with it there where it's like Mars is this like machine that's like supplying to like everyone. And I love that they went with that. I love that Duke is like on this whole, trying to figure out the truth kind of thing. I gotta say, as a woman, I thought Duke looked kind of cute as, the long hair and he's out looking for the truth. Then I have to say that Jordi Belair has been playing with the way they do colors lately. And this whole retro feel that's in the comic, are you guys seeing it too?
Zipatone.
Yes. And I really love that. I really love that they're playing with colors lately and other stuff that they're doing. And it's not just this, but other stuff that they're doing. It's really cool.
Heck yeah. The coloring by Jordi was freaking phenomenal in this issue. And it does have that it does kind of have like this like old school kind of vibe and feel, like sepia toned and stuff like that. And
they're doing that also in Birds of Prey. So like they're really they're like, they found this, this thing and they're like, oh, we're going for it. We're going for that with everything.
I don't like Jordi's coloring in Birds of Prey, but I love it here 100%. But I appreciate that Jordi's trying to do something different with that book. It's just not quite working for me. I don't know if Jordi gets to see the books in print until it's like after the fact, but I would hope that she would course correct. Anyway, Brian, what about you? I know you were really looking forward to this. Josh is a friend of the show. What'd you think? And you're muted.
Sorry.
And don't forget, Josh paid us to make it pick of the week and speak really highly of it. So
That's right. We're shilling. Straight up shilling. I loved it. Yeah. And I did watch the cartoon, but I don't know. I didn't remember that clearly, but I like I love the figures and everything like that. And I was always, more into like the Cobra dudes than the good guys. But, and so seeing that, that 1-page spread with Destro and the shadows and all that got me going for sure. Yep. But yeah, no, it's well constructed first issue. I think it's extra sized and everything like that too, a little bit, get it going and everything like that. And yeah, it was very exciting. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, Tom Riley is one of my newer favorite artists. I mean,
dude, the way he paces an action scene is amazing, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it felt like Born Identity or something. It felt like that kind of like a furious, like scintillating pace to it, man.
Yeah, he's immensely talented, man. He was on that show with that Sue and the Crew show. I think I probably mentioned before. It was especially during the height of the pandemic. This artist that we're all kind of repped by the same person on Friday nights. They do this. It was almost like a drink and draw, like over Twitch, and Tom Riley was one of them, and he was always done first, and it looked amazing. Like the dude just does it. And
he did that recent Thing series too. The artwork on that was really amazing.
Oh, that was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything he does, I'm definitely gonna grab. I mean, it's great. So
heck yeah. Nick, what did you think about this book? And Josh did not pay Nick anything. So
no, Hickman paid me earlier. So Duke was really good. I was not that well informed growing up of like G.I. Joe, and I had a lot of like hand-me-down toys and stuff, so like I didn't have a lot of experience with them. This is a good book to get caught up if you don't have any experience with the character. I felt like I was reading like it had like Maverick vibes in the beginning, like you never took promotions and you like to be on the front lines, and it had like that same vibe of like someone who never wanted to be promoted because they liked where they were. They liked being a grunt and getting their hands dirty. And then it turned into like a Bourne kind of a thing, Robbie, like you just said. So it was like a mixture of a lot of cool genres and characters and feels and vibes that we've had before. The art was spectacular. Everything you guys said, I agree with. The one thing I will say is props to the team for not making it all about Transformers. It still has a lot of G.I. Joe stuff in it, Props to them on Void Rivals for not shoving Transformers down your throat either. They're giving you these little bits. They're making their things breathe on their own with some connective tissue, and it's not just about Transformers. You know what I mean? Like the plot of this one is that, but it's a lot of other stuff too. And they could have went a lot harder on that. But yeah, I'm digging it so far. It's going to be a cool mystery. I like that he's a rogue. He's on his own. People are hunting him down. We're going to get more people in. It's going to be a fun ride, man. It's a great issue #1.
And major kudos to the team as well for not just doing a G.I. Joe #1 that introduces 40 characters to a new audience or to an old audience and just actually, and Josh says that's one of the things that they're very intentional with in the G.I. Joe world is it's going to be a minute till we get a book called G.I. Joe because we got to build up this world. We got to get people familiar with these characters and these concepts again. And we can't just come right out of the gate. And it's another thing that Daniel's doing over at Transformers where it's not 30 Transformers in the first issue, and that's, if you look at every other G.I. Joe #1 and every other Transformers #1, like that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of overwhelming, but kudos to Chris as well for picking a pick that we all seem to be digging on.
Yeah.
Except for Manny.
Bring us back.
Manny seemed like he was being...
Manny seemed a little lukewarm about that one.
No,
yeah.
He's very protective of me, guys. You guys trash my stuff.
I really did like Duke. Yeah, I just was like, I don't know what I was expecting. I think it's Napoleon Dynamite all over again. Where everyone's like, "Oh, you got to read this. You got to read this," and I was like, it's tropey, but it's good. I mean, it was fun. I don't know. It was.
You know what the deal with tropes is though. The deal with tropes is tropes are going to exist no matter what. It's taking that trope and making something a different spin on it. And did this do a different spin?
Well, it did the same thing that the Predator movie just did with like the guy saw an alien in the jungle, nobody believed him, they put him on a squad with a bunch of crazy people, and then the aliens turned out to be real. It's the same. It's just but it was. I'm just gonna shut up. It was a well-written book.
No,
it was well drawn, well colored.
And I see where you're coming from. To me, the way I just off the top of my head view it is like you have the trope. But then you have the extra spin of you have this military guy now doing this whole like the truth is art there kind of thing, and that's the different spin where we're not getting the G.I. Joe like everyone's saying right off the bat because it has to build to that. We have to build to him being that G.I. Joe leader.
I'm just ready and waiting for the scene when he starts doing like playing with his mashed potatoes and he builds a big star screen with it. I'm really, really excited for that one. All right, Manny, you're up. What's the book you want to spotlight for December?
Power Rangers 115. No, don't fucking. That's not official. It's close, but it's not official. No. Let's go Detective Comics. Let's go 1080. That was such a good. It's this book has taken us. There's part of me that thinks, God, I'm kind of over the Orgums. And then this issue happens, and it's like, what happens to one of the Orgums I did not see coming, and when it happened, normally I'm like pissy about shit like that. I'm like, why did we build this up for no reason, just to do this to that? But no, this felt like earned. It felt good. It felt like, holy shit, where are we going now? There's more row to hoe here for Rom in this story, and I'm there for it. I thought that this was a really well done issue, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really love Detective Comics. One of my favorite series of the year. I think I put it on Chris's nomination show as like best ongoing series. Yeah. Dave Stewart on the coloring, lately Jason Sean Alexander on the artwork with other people, even with different styles and stuff. It never feels out of place. It always seems to work. It's got that unifying color. It's got that unifying grit, and it's got that operatic, tragic, gothic, romantic feel to it. And it just was announced that 1089 is the end of Rom's run. But that's always been the plan. 3 acts in the intermission, and we need more of this kind of stuff, like long-form storytelling and ongoing comic book series at the big 2. And I don't just mean Spider-Man. Don't just mean Spider-Man. So what about you, Carrie? What did you think about Detective Comics? And I would say that both issues this month were freaking fantastic.
Oh my God! Like you could pick either one for this month, and it would be satisfying. Okay. But for like this issue in particular, because Manny picked it, and actually he took my pick. So I got to go with my second best now.
That has
But
never
that's
happened.
okay. That's okay. That's okay. All right. But for me, it's just there's this absolutely. For some reason, I brown nose myself completely to Rom V about Detective Comics every time it comes out lately on Twitter, or whatever Twitter's called now. And I am so sad that there is an end to this. And I knew there was an end. I knew it was going to happen, but I'm so sad because of moments like what I'm looking at right now. It was right after you have Talia al Ghul face to face with Selena Kyle. Okay. The two biggest female feminine influences in Bruce Wayne's life standing face to face to each other, both equally. I don't know, maybe Talia is more deadly than Selena because Selena doesn't like to kill. But both wonderful, wonderful, strong female characters. And when they get into this conversation about how he's still knocked out, and Selena is like, they broke him and I don't know how to put the pieces back together. And Talia just comes at her with this. She's like, would you want to? So many times he has been broken. So many times he has returned. Each time a construct of someone else's design. We must let him put himself back together. We must let him become what he will be. Just and you get the rest of that conversation between the two of them, and Selena's like, I brought him this far, and they're talking to him, and Selena's like, tell me you'll bring him back to me. She's like, I will bring him back to himself, and then you'll just have to do as I do. Wait. And then the scenes like after that where it's the narration showing everything, and then you get the next page, that's where that narration starts, and then you get the really cool looking ad for Action Comics 1061, and then you get the continuation of that narration where it's just showing all these scenes, and then like they're getting people attacking them and everything like that, and then you just get Talia like kicking ass. These two women doing everything, risking life, limb, and everything for not just a man, but the idea of a man, the idea that he brings, and just holy shit. And then that second story, y'all, with Damien, I've been waiting for Damien to show up here. I've been waiting for Damien to show up in this, and now it's sky's the limit for me. I'm just like, we got 9 issues left, right? We got 9 issues. Yep. Mm-hmm. I want to see what happens. I cannot wait. This is some of the best shit I've read in a long time, y'all.
Yeah, I love it.
I've read in a long time.
Yeah. So I want to, Comic Dog, thank you so much for the super chat. I want to address this. Detective Comics doesn't have the Dawn of DC branding, does it? Mm-hmm. Which means it's not like plugged into the ongoing narrative of the DC universe. But what this is one of these books that's like meant to be perennial. So it's meant to fit in wherever. Does it take place after the Zdarsky run? Does it take place before the Zdarsky run? Well, we can figure all that out later. Right now,
what's fabulous is that he does make mention of the war, of the Gotham War.
He does. So I think that it's like, I know a lot of people want their books to kind of like overlap and flow like that. But what's more important to me, especially with this book, is that DC already has a direction. They don't need Detective Comics to add on to what they're building in like Green Arrow or Titans or Superman and stuff like that, right? Or even Wonder Woman, right? Yeah. But like Detective will be a book that will be of interest years down the road. This could be a great selling omnibus. It could be something that we go back and revisit. And in all of Batman, there's a lot of perennial evergreen Batman books. One of them is the run by Grant Morrison. And this is directly tied into the Grant Morrison concepts and ideas. And I love the whole idea with that. So what about you, Brian? What are you thinking about tech right now?
I love it. man. Yeah, and I agree. It's a great pick, and I agree with everything everybody's saying. I can't wait for this to be collected in an omnibus kind of thing. You know,
It's going to be the first omnibus I buy.
It's perfect for it.
Yeah.
That splash page with Catwoman and Talia with Batman laying there, and he's even got the cool little curls on there. There's so much detail in that. Gems on one side, and you got the was it League of Shadows? It's very powerful, awesome image. And then the epilogue part, I freaking loved all that. It was like it's setting up a bunch of stuff, and then the very last panel we get Renee Montoya.
Yeah,
as a question.
The question.
I didn't even mention that. Shit, that was
so
cool.
ready to see where this keeps going, man. I'm just fully bought into the Batman universe again, I guess. It's everything's like hitting on all cylinders, and it's just so great that you got Rom and Dan Waters. I mean, like two of the, to me, best writers we've got.
I agree 100%. You see a lot of comments out there about the hardcover. The first hardcover is out for the Overture, and the Act 1 hardcover comes out, I think, next month. So it's very, very soon. I don't think we've hit FOC yet, so you can get those orders in, and that hardcover is still available. Don't let your shop lie to you. It's still available. And if you can't find it, let me know, because we have it in stock at my shop. What about you, Nick? What do you think?
Dude, I was flipping through, so I had both books on my list. I knew we were going to get to either one of these. I was flipping through 1080 again, and I got chills when I flipped through the Two-Face scene. When they catch up with Catwoman and them, and
my God,
you see
that's
that
amazing.
army, the Origami army, whatever it might be, and then you see that one guy fall, and then you go back to the previous panel, and you're like, wait, what did I miss? And you see that red dot on his forehead. And then the next panel, you catch back up and you see red dots all over him, and Two-Face and his army is out there, and the art with that, and the amount of oh my God, that was so good. It was so good. I got chills watching that or reading that part, man.
I mean, that one panel where he said, "I'm Two-Face,"
he's screaming. God,
that
so
art
good.
on that was.
And his redemption too, because Two-Face has been down. Like all these guys have been down. They've been overrun by this army that's been coming through, and now it's their moment to rise back up. Even siding with Batman again, because they tend to do that from time to time. But it was amazing, man. And Catwoman screaming back at him, you won't take him. It's amazing stuff. Yeah, great book.
I need someone in the chat to help, because Big Boss asked, what are the issues for, I guess, either not just this arc, but I guess the whole ROM run. And I looked up the hardcover. 1062? Okay.
I believe 1062 is when it begins. I might be wrong.
And yeah, y'all are right. That Two-Face scene is freaking dope. Chris, I know you're a big fan of this one. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I love it. And the thing about it, when Ram V actually took this series, I had such high hopes and anticipation. Ram V being one of my favorite writers, and those first 5 or 6 issues when he came on board, I kind of wasn't into it. I felt like I was kind of stepping through mud, and I talked about it on the channel, and I'm like, I'm waiting, I'm holding off, because I know this is going to get better. And man, just slowly but surely, man, this thing, it's gotten so good. And all those issues at the beginning, now you're starting to see all those things. There's payoffs for all of those things. Robbie always says it's operatic, right? And every time I hear him say that, I'm like, well, I don't like operas, Robbie. But but you know what? That's what it's playing the long game. You got to sit through that opera, right? You got to sit through that operatic tale, right? And it's happening. I love it. Over the last, I guess, 10 issues. I mean, it's just, for me, it's just gone up to level 10. And there's not a lot of comic writers that can do that and take everything that came at that beginning, pay off at the end, and then get you excited for what's coming next. All these stepping stones that have been put into place. Now we're going to have a Batman comeback story now. He's got all this, asthma that he's been infected with. And now we're going to get the last part of this. And now I'm sad that it's only 9 issues left with Ram. So, man, I love this so much. And the scene, Carrie, that you're talking about with Catwoman and Talia, it's like, when I read that, I don't know why, my eyes kind of got a little misty. And I'm like, these are the two most impactful women in his life, that the two loves
besides
at certain,
his mother.
besides his mother, right? And I don't that scene in particular just gave me kind of chills, got my eyes watery. I love this book. I love that issue in particular. Yeah.
Good pick, Manny. I mean, it is a bit tropey at times, but
incredibly. I mean, it's got Two-Face in a Batman book. Come on, son of a bitch.
I've been loving what they've been doing in DC with Two-Face more and more lately. Like you're seeing him pop up more and more, and it's just like it's really cool when he does.
Yeah,
I do like it.
Carrie, what about you? What's a book you want to highlight?
Well, guys, you picked my top two.
Gods and Detective? Wow.
No. Detective and Duke were my top two. So thanks, Chris. Thanks, Manny. Jeez.
Pleasure.
Okay. So we're gonna go with my third choice. And I picked this one. I read it today. It came out Tuesday. It's a DC. Surprise, surprise. And not a lot of people talking about it. And I absolutely love it. And it's a miniseries, and it's Batman Beyond Neo-Gothic. This is the conclusion of this arc. And you have two different Gothams. You have the Gotham above and the Gotham below. And basically you have kind of like a similar like situation to like No Man's Land kind of happening here in this book, where the Gotham below is rising up, and it's all like the green is in charge of it and everything like that. It's all like some crazy shit, right? But there's this moment in here, and people will know about me that if you really want to get me, make me feel emotions, make me feel something. And there's this moment in this where like Terry McGinnis is just one man. He's just one Batman. And everything that's happening, it's too much for him to just save everyone. So basically he just kind of sits there, and there's like this channel to all of Gotham. And he is just like, they've got this nanotechnology where they've developed it where if you open yourself up and you want it, you like it can affect you. And so basically what happens is he gets on this comm to all of Gotham, and all of Gotham can hear him, and he's like, this is really, basically in a nutshell, he's like, this is really fucked, right? And I want to help, and I want to do everything I can, but this is too much for just me. My name is Terry McGinnis, and I'm a person of Gotham just like all of you. Like basically it's like, hey, I'm Batman, by the way, and my name is Terry, and just unmasking himself. And he's just like, if you believe in Batman, you believe what he represents, and you believe what he stands for, and you want to open yourself up to it, we can all be Batman. And all these people are like, yeah, sure. And everybody bands together and fixes what's happening, stops it. And it's just this idea, this moment where he's just like, you know what? Here I am. The mask is off. It's like the end of like Pump Up the Volume, right? Where he's like sitting there, and he's like, he's in the car, and he's just like at the top of the hill, and he's like, okay, this is me, no voice, manipulator or anything like that. This is really me. And you know what? We can all affect change. We all have a voice. We all have this ability to make a difference. And that got me. It got me. And yeah, I did compare Batman Beyond to Pump Up the Volume, and I am okay with that.
Well, that's a way to get me to read it 100%, because I've always struggled getting into Batman Beyond comics. It wasn't something like when the Batman Beyond TV show came on, like I wasn't super into it. So I've just never had as much of an attachment to Batman Beyond as a lot of people do my age or just below, right? I do like Lansing and Kelly as writers sometimes, and I do remember trying to get into it and just kind of feeling like it was, I don't know, it just kind of bogged me down, but I just don't have that inherent interest. Brian, is this one that you're reading?
No, I just said that I'm fully into the Batman world, and I guess I was wrong. No.
You're fully in the Batman world of now. And then
plus also, guys, there is John Constantine moments in this book.
how the hell
Old
is
John
John
Constantine.
Constantine's still there.
He's everywhere, right?
John
Dude,
Constantine
come
is
The spirit.
characterized as typical, a big fucking asshole, right? And
Manny knows assholes.
Yeah, don't talk about
Very well.
and there's also this really cool character that's like in this world, in the Batman Beyond world, they have these beings that are like cat men, and they're known as Kyles. And so there's this character that he's attached to Constantine, and he learned magic from Constantine, and he's a Kyle. He's basically a cat man. It's very, very, very cool. Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Nick? You reading this one?
No, like you, Beyond's never been on my radar, to be honest with you. Like I don't know what it is. It sounds great, but I've never been interested in the character, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're enjoying it though. It sounds like it's got a pretty good story going on.
What about you, Chris? You stole your logo's colors from Batman Beyond, so
Well, that has
that's
nothing
the
to do
only
with
thing that's ever
with anything.
used red, white, and black. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you guys. For whatever reason, that is just it's. I love Batman, absolutely, but I just for whatever reason have not gotten into that Beyond universe. So.
All right. What about you, Manny? Or should I say Manny Beyond?
I'm not reading it.
Oh,
I love the cartoon Batman Beyond. I've just never read the comics.
Gotcha. A lot of love out there in the chat for Blade right now as well.
Oh, but Blade was so good too.
What was that?
yeah,
Issue
Blade was great too.
5 or 6 this month.
6.
That was the Dracula training Blade issue. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
really.
the montage issue.
Ever since they changed the color on that one, I've liked it a whole lot, like a whole lot, 100%. All right, I guess it's time for my pick. Nobody picked my first pick. I let you all go first, and nobody picked
Well,
my
we
pick.
saved it for you. So.
Yeah, my pick is everybody just say it with me because you know what it is. It's Rare Flavors, number
There we
3.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I absolutely love this book. I love Rom V. Not just he's not just one of my favorite writers. I love Rom V as a person. Like, we've had a few conversations with him. He's a super cool dude. I really enjoy it. He's coming back on the show in 2024, very early on. So you definitely want to pay attention to when that news drops, when we let you know when it's going to happen. I love Rare Flavors. As much as I love his work on Detective, as much as I love his work on Swamp Thing, as much as I love The Vigil, Rare Flavors is my shit. Like, I want Rom. What I love the most from him is his original work that he owns, that he cares more about. And that's the other thing. When he works on these properties, we had him on the channel one time. I was like, so do you put more effort like in creator owned rather than, your jobber stuff for like the big 2? And he's like, no, because I get to add on to this mythology. You feel that with his Swamp Thing run. You feel that with The Vigil and how he wants to introduce this concept and this team into the DC universe with like the spirit of planetary, right? Like, you feel that kind of stuff from Rom in those titles. But Rare Flavors is a rare flavor. It's not something that you get on the shelves all the time. I love the mini Deaths of Layla Starr. I was hoping that Felipe and Rom would not have a sophomore syndrome where their second work together wasn't as solid. Dude,
Right.
That's not what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Each issue's got a recipe. The recipe is related to the theme of the story, which is related to the purpose and of life and living life. And this one about it takes time to add the flavor into your life. It takes time to really develop. So many people, especially young, and I remember being in my early 20s and just being like, I used to call it my quarter life crisis. I was like, man, I don't like my job. I don't like my girlfriend. I don't know if I like my friends. I'm spending too much time doing this, and I don't have my shit together. Well, dude, nobody has their shit together at that age. And I'll tell you what, 20 years later, I still ain't got my shit together, but I got more flavor. I got more spice. I got more seasoning, and I got more texture. And that's what I get from this book, provided by the art, magnificent art by Felipe Andrade. Such a cool story about cannibalism. And once again, PCP does not endorse cannibalism in any form or fashion, but it's not really cannibalism because he's a different species. He's a being, a different being. He's like a demon god thing. So whatever. I love Rare Flavors. It's my pick of the month. What do you think about this book, Brian?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I've been loving it, and I think this issue was my favorite so far. Even though I did have to ask you, I was a little confused by the end. I think I was a little too tired when I was reading it, but
luckily, you know where I work. You can just come and interrupt me while I'm working to ask me questions about what's the meaning of this last page in the Rom V book.
Yep, yeah, that's what I always do. No matter what I'm doing, I drive up to the store and hunt you down.
Every time Brian asks me a question, though, I have to be like, I don't know. You got what happened again? I don't remember.
Yeah. We're grabbing the issue. It's like, come here, look. So, but yeah, I mean, you nailed it though. I mean, it's just like the way he layers all these, all these things with various meanings and everything like that. And it's just masterful the way Rom does all this. And I thought this like really accelerated the story though in issue 3 and which, I was thinking it's a 5-issue run, but so I am interested to see how 4 and 5 go. But it's just I mean, I don't know what else to add really. This, if you're not reading this book, go get it.
Average Comics Joe, I would agree with you on his Carnage run, but I'll tell you what, it just shows you that Marvel didn't know what to do with Rom V, and that's ridiculous.
No
That's
kidding.
ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I would probably just fall down crying if he was on Doctor Strange.
I know that's what you do. You just like it's so simple, Marvel. Like you don't put him on
right.
Carnage, you put him on Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
And
Jed
you
McKay,
give him
put Jed McKay on Carnage, and have Rom V do Doctor Strange with Pasquale Ferry.
Yeah, it's not hard.
what I feel like is both of them have like this. Obviously, both Marvel and DC are full of IPs, but the thing is what I think, and this is just me guessing here, is that what I think happened is Marvel held on too tight to their IP and didn't allow him to play the way he wanted to. Well, in DC, it was like, you're tried and true, and you've already done Swamp Thing. You want to play with Detective Comic? Go ahead. And I think that's the difference between the two, if I were to guess.
I would agree, Joe. Alex, I think, did a little bit of a better job kind of with Carnage, but I think at that point, I think Alex is more geared towards Carnage. Like Alex's work is more geared towards Cletus Cassidy and Carnage than I think Rom's is.
Yeah,
Rom definitely needs to be doing Doctor Strange, Thor, something of that level, something a little bit more poetic
mystical,
in nature.
Poetic.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? What are you thinking?
2 things on this. They're doing them dirty with the paper quality on this run. To be honest with you, this is awful.
Yes.
They should do better on that. So that's my first comment. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I love the idea of a demon, being obsessed with people's journey to perfection and then wanting to assimilate with that perfection. He's not messing around with the average Joe. You know what I mean? No offense to Average Joe Comics in the chat there. He's hunting down those people who are at the pinnacle of their game, and I just love the idea that he's hunting them down and just wanting to be a part of that. It's just such a cool concept, man. Such a cool concept. And yeah, everything else you guys said.
When he gets confronted in this issue about eating people and he's like, what?
What?
There's something wrong with
Did you know?
What do you mean?
I thought that was obvious.
What about you, Chris? You reading this one?
Yeah, I love it. You guys have said quite a bit about it, but I mean, I love that this guy, or this demon guy, Ruben, he's a cannibal. He loves fine cuisine, and he also loves humans in equal measure, and he appreciates humans, but for different reasons, right, than what we would appreciate each other for. But his love for humanity also comes down to how he can prepare them for his finest meal. And the whole point, of the book, right, is he's trying to explain to his new young filmmaker friend that it takes time for quality cuisine. It takes flavor, right? And I just love how the young guy is just not getting it and especially in this issue. He's like, look, I'm doing what you asked me to do. I'm out here. You got me away from my family. I'm doing the thing. And Ruben's like, but you're not getting it. You're not taking your time. You're not listening to my recipe. Like you're not getting the point, right? And I just love that, how he's trying to explain all of that. And this young dude is just like, getting it right. But so many things to love about it. Felipe Andrade on the arts, fantastic. I love this team. Love the book, man. It's so good, so good.
Oh yeah. What about you, Manny?
Well, let me start by just throwing up the disclaimer here. We had to start doing this during the last cannibalism fiasco. We don't necessarily find it sexy. That's one of our bylaws. This is another really great issue of Rare Flavors. I like that there's always kind of this connection between the mainline story and then like the food story. So like there's something almost grotesque about like the food. Not grotesque isn't the right phrase, but it's like always dripping, and it's always kind of gross. And then like the beginning of the book, they're like gonna cut them open, and they're like, "Where do we start? Start low," and it's a leg of goat. Like the whole thing works. Like the whole thing is well thought out, well planned, and it just works really well. It keeps you. There's just enough visual without beating you over the head with it. There's just enough like visual cues to keep you keyed in to where the story to both ends that book and the story, and it just works. It just works. And the interplay between the two main characters has always kind of been this kind of antagonistic thing, and I'm starting to, even though Ruben's a cannibal, I'm starting to think that like his homie's a dick. You know what I mean? Like this dude's feeding you, he's telling you stories. You haven't really seen him eat people until now. You've just kind of been a dick, So I'm kind of hoping.
Just let it go.
Yeah, chill. But anyway, it was good. It's a really good book.
Hell yeah. What about you, Carrie? What are you thinking?
I love Rare Flavors, and two things come to mind. One, when they're displaying the recipe of the issue, doesn't it seem like, at least with this issue, that like what the story of the backstory of the person cooking it kind of fits with the juxtaposition of what's happening in the recipe,
Right. Yeah.
And I really love that. And two, what's really interesting is the idea of being thankful for sacrifice, and the idea that I mean, if you were raised Christian, I was a good little Episcopalian girl for a few years, and you ever went to your grandma's
Catholic light. I got you. Okay.
Oh yes, that's exactly what I call it. Actually, is Catholic light to people, and they're like, "What's Episcopalian?" I'm like, "Well, it's Catholic, except we let our priests marry, have children, and get divorced." But if you've ever been to grandma's farmhouse for dinner, you pray before you eat, and it's this idea of ritualistic sacrifice that Reuben is, yes, eating people, and that's wrong. We don't condone that unless it's for survival, like if you're in like some like alive type situation, I could excuse it then. But otherwise, it's this whole ritualistic sacrifice thing for him. And if you get right down to it, all animal that we eat, fish, cow, anything, it's a ritualistic sacrifice, especially if you're thanking God beforehand.
Absolutely. 100%. Seems like Rare Flavors was a hit. I was like, yeah, there you go. Robbie knows how to pick them, even if they are about cannibalism, which is not cool nor sexy.
No.
So there you go. But it can be portrayed sexily in books like Lovesick, one of the best books of the year as well. I just got a bead of sweat just thinking about that book, Brian. Brian, round 2, kick us off, man. What's another book you want to highlight?
Okay. Sticking with the DC love, World's Finest, latest issue.
Nice.
I've been loving this run from the beginning. But now we've got Kingdom Come, New Gods all thrown in too. This is it's just great. And what Mark Waid's doing with, his own property, right? I mean, his own creations, and then, mixing in Metron and, and the whole apocalypse stuff. And the new character they created, the David Thunderman or whatever in there. I think it's intriguing, a good
Mm-hmm.
anchor for kind of chasing all these things. So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't been this excited about big two in continuity superhero books as I have been the past, I don't know, probably this year. With and primarily obviously DC, because that's the main one I talk about. I mean, but yeah, I'm loving this book. And it's issue 22, and Dan Mora has only had a couple fill-ins, if I recall correctly. Because also his art, which I was already in love with it. I mean, even before Once and Future, but like Once and Future to me, it seemed like another level he hit. And then in this, it looks like it's over rendered sometimes, but it really isn't. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't get how he's this prolific. I don't get it. I mean, he's just so talented. And, and then, Tamara Von Villen on the arts, she's my favorite colorist and has been for a couple of years, I think. I mean, it's just, and she does lots of different styles, and then she nails, to me, a good superhero comic coloring with on this run with Dan Mora's lines and everything. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm loving this one.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the tie-ins to Kingdom Come. I love how it's taking that first arc, Strange Visitor, right, and throwing, or I guess that's the second arc, right, that they did, but basically throwing it into what's going on now, and the connection to Kingdom Come. And this was always a thing that we said, like, if there's a Magog, there has to be a Gog somewhere in this kind of timeline.
Yep.
And you're figuring it out. And that art, like you said, it's big, it's bombastic, it's explosive. It's some of the best superhero books out there, classic type storytelling with a modern kind of vibe. And it's one of Mark Waid's best superhero books I've read since his Captain America. Now, I think Mark Waid's good. His Daredevil run was great. Mark Waid's got some good stuff. His Fantastic Four run is great. I'm a fan of Mark Waid. But his Captain America run was very special with Ron Garney before Rob Liefeld came in. And this is as good as that to me. I love it so freaking much. What about you, Nick? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm catching up on the series right now. Actually, I fell off. Something happened. I don't know. Something happened before this arc. There was another arc. What was going on in that one? I can't remember.
That was the
somebody. I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember. I have the villain in my mind. I just can't remember his freaking name. Anyways, before this arc right here is when I was reading up to. I was loving everything about it. Something happened, and now I'm playing catch up right now. But I'm excited to get back into it because you're right. It was awesome. Even if we had, because like Night Terrors kind of like spins out of this in a way, in some weird way. Like they made that all work because of like all that craziness with the gods in the beginning and things like that. But yeah, I've been loving it, man. The art's killer. Mark Waid's doing a great job on there. I need to play catch up, and I'm excited. I'm glad it's still really good because I have something to look forward to as I catch back up. So
I was looking through some of the DC solicitations. I think it's issue 25. It's the one with the William Shatner cover, but it's going to be Mark Waid and Dan Mora telling or retelling the first time Lex Luthor meets the Joker. And I cannot wait for that issue. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. What about you, Chris? I know you're liking World's Finest.
I am. Two of my favorite characters, and I do love that. I just love that it's got that classic superhero vibe. Like, there's not a lot of books that really capture. I think somebody just put it up there. It's like that Silver Age vibe, but also it's got that modern twist to it. That's a perfect description of this book. It pays homage to that classic superhero vibe from the Silver Age, and it's been consistent this whole series. Batman, Superman, World's Finest. That is what this book is, and Mark Waid has really captured that. Yeah, Wish, World's Finest, hitting the same level. Mark Waid's okay. But yeah, no, I very much am enjoying it. I never read the original Kingdom Come, so I feel like I'm missing something there.
Bro,
so that's a big.
Before you read anything else, you better get on Kingdom Come, bro. What's wrong with you?
I need to. I know.
You're one of the biggest DC heads I know here on YouTube outside of Carrie. So like, that's ridiculous. You got to read Kingdom Come, bro.
I know. It's bad, but
wow,
I'll take care of that.
You get to read it for the first time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
2024.
So good.
You're going to love it. You're going to be like the biggest Spectre fan when you come out of that. And then just look up John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake and their run, and you're going to be set. Have you ever read that run of Spectre? from the
I haven't.
90s?
I haven't, man.
I'll tell you what, man.
I'm ready,
DC,
man.
You need to get on that and collect that shit real quick.
That was a great team back then. That was the same team that did that Martian Manhunter.
They did
movie
Martian
series. Remember I
Manhunter.
was
Yeah,
telling
dude,
you
that
about it?
Martian Manhunter
Yeah,
was amazing, dude.
Dude.
How big
yeah.
of me to admit that I haven't read that?
Oh, yeah, how big of you to point out how big you're being. What about you, Manny? World's Finest.
Oh, yeah. No, I jumped back into World's Finest a couple issues ago. I'm liking it. I think it's good. The art reads super clean. There's a lot of like superhero actiony books that when you have like the scene in this one with the Apocalypse War, where with all the parodies and stuff, where you can't see everything, and this is just, I appreciate how fucking legible everything in this book is. That one point when Gog is like coming out of, I don't know if it's hell or whatever, that black void he's in, that reads super clean. Like everything about the artwork in this book reads super clean, and the story is covers a shit ton of ground in this issue, and like because there's a bunch of flashback and everything else, but it still captivates you. At no point does it feel like a slog, like you're jumping into disparate pieces. You know what I mean? Like they start off, they're fighting all these things. I swear there's a panel with Boba Fett in it. I can't find it in my anywhere, but I swear there's a panel with Boba Fett. And then right before the Etrigan stuff, and then by the time you get to the end, they're in the catacombs, and it flows. It flows really well. It covers all of that ground without losing you, and it reads clean the whole way. Just a really well-made comic. So I don't know. I dug it, and I think you should bring back Comics Revisited once he reads Kingdom Come, and I think we should cover it, Robbie.
We've already done Kingdom Come, brother.
But not with Chris.
If only there was some new element to the conversation you could add. Like Chris.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to do that.
That's true. So, Carrie, you're not reading this one. I'm telling you, I hit the wrong comment. Are you not reading this one?
I read like one issue, but then I was like, man, there's just too much stuff that I'm reading right now. And I see that my boyfriend lovingly calls me out in the chat, and he is reading it though. This is one of those moments where I would like to be like, just pull him onto the screen and just be like, okay, I'm reading it, but no, I'm not. And,
Okay.
And I've never, and by the way, I've never read Kingdom Come either.
Yeah, let's do it, Carrie. Let's do it together. Yeah.
So
Y'all should real quick. And by the way, I think that last arc was that the Amazo arc, right? Nick? Yeah.
That is fucking Boba Fett. Right there next to it. That's fucking
Oh, for
Boba
sure.
Fett,
Oh,
right?
it's totally Boba Fett.
That's fucking Boba Fett. So I'm not crazy.
Oh my
That's Boba
God.
Fett. All right. Just making sure.
Glad you found
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
All right, that was your pick, right, Brian?
That was mine, yeah. Mhm.
All right, Nick, tell us
Oh,
your
man.
pick and then lead the chat through. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so I'm already like 0 for 1, so I might as well go 0 for 2. I'm going to pick a book that I just personally really enjoy that I don't really hear a whole lot of people talking about, because a lot of these books we talk about every month, and I'm going to go ahead and pick something that's a little bit off the wall here. I'm going to go into Superman Lost, issue number 9. This is actually a really, really good Superman book because it actually maintains just like what it means to be Superman. And a quick catch up on the story. We're on 9 of 10 right now. This is Christopher Priest. Really, really interesting book. Very first issue, Justice League is fighting this universe, this big threat. There's a black hole involved. Superman gets sucked into it, essentially sacrificing himself for the greater good in a way. He has, through some time dilation, he finds himself super far away in time and space from Earth, and actually lives about 20 years off Earth, developing relationships with all these different cultures and planets and alien races and things like that. And he does the Superman thing for them as well. He starts protecting them and doing stuff. And he's never lost hope of finding his way home. Through a series of events, he does find his way home, but it's only been, I don't know, like a month or something like that to them. But through time dilation, it was 20 years for Superman. And so there's this huge drama and this like emptiness, this like distance, right, between him and Lois and the humanity on Earth and things like that. Very, very cool. And then we have this brutal Lex trying to get back on Superman's radar moment in the previous issues. He does something to Lois that is kind of like unforgivable in a way. And it's not exactly what you think, but it kind of is. And Lex is just trying to get back on his radar, and he goes to extreme lengths to do so. And this is the issue where he kind of finds out the truth. Lex is so demented inside of this issue, and I think it's his perspective, but I think we learned towards the end of the issue it's actually Superman's perspective of these daydreams of him killing Lex in like tons of different ways. Like, what would happen if I actually went through with it and grabbed him randomly when he's in some board meeting and fly him out to space and throw him into the sun, something like that. So it's all these weird daydreamy moments that just kind of are peppered through this issue here, and it's just really cool. And one of the things that he was experiencing when he was off world comes back to Earth in this issue to kind of haunt him in a way, and it has a whole bunch of questions surrounding it right now. And so I'm really, really excited to see where it goes. It's definitely a cool Superman book in his vibe. So I mean, like, if you're into Superman, definitely check this one out. We're on issue number 9. There's only one issue left in this run, and I think it's severely underappreciated. So yeah, dude, I've been loving this book so far. Chris, have you been reading Superman Lost?
I have not, and I dropped off it very early. And I've heard you talk about this on your reviews, and you are one of the people that speaks the most highly about it, and you're the only one that makes me actually want to read this comic book. But and that's not an insult. Christopher Priest, I think somebody in the chat said it a moment ago, but I have a hard time as well kind of following his storytelling over a period of time. That again, that's not an insult to him. It's just, I do feel he reads better in trade, and I haven't been keeping current with this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, no worries there. Speaking of people hard to follow sometimes, Manny.
Yes.
What do you got, brother?
Yes.
You are reading it?
Not since the damn space license Space Dolphins. Like, you keep telling me it got good, but there was space, dude. All right, space dolphins eating space lice, and that was the whole conflict. And he was floating through space. It was okay. It was weird, and then all of a sudden it got good. And I felt like we were both on the train together. I felt like we were both kind of confused and kind of talking shit low key about this book together. And then all of a sudden you started liking it. And I gotta say, just like it's like a metaphor for our relationship, Nick, that. There's a little bit of resentment here. I feel like Superman Lost needs to give me at least some fucking chocolates, if not some candy, so we can mend this thing, so you and I can get back to being us, Nick, because I miss being us.
Man,
beautiful. It's beautiful, man.
Well, I'm so sorry to disappoint you, Manny.
We need to take a break now.
I appreciate that.
We need to think about this.
Carrie, DC head here. You reading Superman Lost?
I was, until Lois Lane just kept pissing me off. Honestly, like she acting like she was the one stuck for 20 years in space. I think my last issue that I read of Superman Lost was the issue where she is having lunch with Wonder Woman. She's like, "Yeah, I don't like you." Just like,
right.
Way to open. Yeah, Lois said that to Wonder Woman.
She totally shouldn't like Diana.
Why would she like her?
That's like her biggest threat.
Right.
Well, first off, Lois is like inviting Diana to have lunch. Diana does nothing but sits down and says, "Hey, I'm happy to see you," and Lois is like, "I hate you." Like
yeah.
Am I at the right place? Like, if I were Wonder Woman, I'd be like, did I get to the right place? Am I at the right restaurant?
See what was happening? She was accidentally holding the lasso of truth, right? She didn't realize it, and she was admitting.
It was draped across the floor, laying on her foot somehow. I think she was reaching out to Wonder Woman for, if I'm trying to remember that scene correctly, I think she was reaching out for just help to get him grounded again. You know what I mean? Like, you know him pretty well too. But I hate the fact that you two have so much in common. There's this understanding here, and we're just going to clear the air real quick. So, I mean, I get her response, but I don't know why she said it, but I understand that jealousy that she might have.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Clark's been kind of didn't he just start sleeping with that Green Lantern chick like after being lost for like a week?
Well, that was a complicated relationship. I don't know if they actually
no. See, that's Clark has lost the trust of Lois, and I feel like this entire this entire fucking like thing with Wonder Woman is earned in a way. This is on Clark. Clark has to mend these bridges. He's destroying the bond between these two women that shouldn't even there shouldn't even be any cracks. But because Clark is a fucking philanderer, all right, that's what happened. That's what happened.
And I feel like if I had stuck around long enough for the, you know, so apparently you just revealed to me, spoiler alert, that Clark actually does do it with the Green Lantern chick.
Oh, I don't know. I quit when the dolphins were being eaten by the space lice. So I have no idea.
You definitely got to read it.
Because if he does, then I would be so angry with him that I'd be
I wouldn't. I'd be like, bro, if it happens in space, there's no reason why you.
What happens in space?
Different
stays in space.
Yeah,
I would recommend not jumping to conclusions and reading the book, perhaps.
Well, I would
not assuming that he did it in a way that he was like, you know what, screw it, I'm never going to see Lois again. Hey, you're here. That's not exactly how that happened.
There's a really good Joe Kelly issue of Action Comics where Superman and Wonder Woman wind up in like a very similar situation like Doctor Strange has been in recently, where they have to go and fight this war for like 1,000 years, and even when he forgets Lois's name and what she looked like, he still can't bring himself to like sleep with Diana, even though she's literally throwing herself at him. And
that I like.
That was
beautiful.
Yeah, but it's incredibly unrealistic. All right, I'm not reading Superman Lost, and the reason why is I love Christopher Priest's work, but the way he plays with structure, it's better for me in trade. Right? Like Black Panther was like the one thing that I could get into, but even at that time, I would read those things over and over again because it's kind of non-linear at times. It's a little Tarantino-esque, but I do really love Christopher Priest's work, but I don't usually follow. And I was digging it at first, but there's also the bit too, where it's like, I don't know, like I thought Lois was being really like ridiculously hard on Clark when he came back and seemed to have gone through some trauma or something. I don't know. It just kind of threw me off. What about you, Brian? You reading that one? By the way, no, Nick, I'm so proud of you. Your like throw to Manny was great. I was listening to that. That was great.
Yep. Thanks.
No, I did read the first issue, and then I think I forgot to sign up for it on the pull list, so I just kind of forgot about it, and I will get the trade.
Yes,
I do want to read it.
This is great. 0 for 2.
I also forgot about it.
Damn, Nick, way to end the year.
No, I purposely
Nick's like we've already won the fucking award.
Yeah, 12th time in a row.
Nick's like, I'm fucking tired. This is my 12th show in a row. All right, Chris, what's your next pick for round 2?
Well, I'm happy that you went with these picks that you've gone with, Nick, because you've left the door open for me to actually take the second best comic of the month, the actual best second comic of the month, and that is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 2, IDW, Patrick Horvath on writing and art. He's doing it all, man. Huge kudos to Patrick Horvath, man. He's not only writing this book, but he's also illustrating it, and he's doing a masterful job at doing that. And this second issue, it found us in the events of this grisly murder that occurred in issue number 1. This murder committed in this small, cozy town whose inhabitants they're all warm, fuzzy little creatures. They're all animals, right? But the hook is that these murders are being committed by an unknown killer in this little town because there's already a killer in the town, right? And that killer is the one narrating the book. It's a fuzzy little bear, and that bear is a very fascinating character. And I love that bear is very like OCD, very always wanting to keep her stuff real tidy and clean. There's a little panel there where she opens up her tool bag and all the tools are perfectly lined up. I love that. I love the attention to detail. And she's a neat freak, and she takes that same compulsion into her work as a serial killer. But she has rules. She doesn't murder in the small town that she lives in. She only goes to the city for her new kills. This is just such a great concept, and I think I talked about this with, I think it was Animal Pound on my comic book reviews. For some reason, when we take animals and put them into human situations, it makes it so much more palatable, so much more I don't know, we become very much more understanding to the story at large.
Because we like animals, we hate people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And that's the whole point, right? So that's what's happening in the pages of this book. Take a book like Animal Pound, Animal Castle, Stray Dogs, right? We love these books. And this book is kind of using that same format, but serial killer and murdering, and it's fantastic. The colors, the use of these soft pastels throughout the book creates this very warm, welcoming environment, which makes like the whole act of murder seem very much more gruesome than it would be if the book was already dark. And all these little cute creatures, man, it's just the perfect setting for the story. So it's an amazing book, and I think this is definitely one of my favorites from the month of December.
It's a great book. In your nomination special, me and Nick were there. This blew us away. Like 2 issues in, we were talking about this book already, and like
Breakout Writer
had just come out. We picked him for Breakout Writer because the art is great and the storytelling of that art is amazing.
Yeah,
but the writing is so solid. In fact, the writing is so solid. If you took away all of the fact that they're like cute little storybook animals, it still would work on its own as just a very compelling, well-told story.
Yeah.
But the juxtaposition that's there really sets it apart, and it's damn right masterful. It's going to be on a lot of lists next year when all the rest of them come out. It's 2 issues in, and it's just still rocking. What about you, Manny?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. This was such a great book. Such a great book. Like Robbie said, it works. It works as like if this was just a scene in a slasher film and the town asshole was getting their comeuppance, it would totally still work. It's humans. I don't know if I'm reading into it because I normally am, but the during the town hall, like as they start like cussing and stuff more, it feels like there's something that as the town is losing its innocence, the book is also embracing much more dark and adultness to it. And I feel like that's all heightened by the use of the animals. Like it's not just a cute framing thing, not just like a cute concept and something to get people talking. It's definitely used in a way that, at least for me, throws me off my game just a little bit and really sells it. So I really dug this issue. This was so freaking good.
Carrie, you reading this one?
I can't recall having heard of this one. No, and you said it was 2 issues. Steve?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it last month.
Oh, we for sure did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Carrie didn't pay
Beneath
attention. That's
the
fine.
tree.
Brian, what about you? What are you thinking of this book?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, y'all nailed it. I mean, it's an incredibly well executed comic book, and the premise is great. I mean,
IDW.
I don't have anything.
Yeah, good stuff.
Sorry.
Yeah.
IDW. Good stuff from IDW,
Yeah.
which is not always the case. Nick,
True.
what do you think?
The comeuppance in this issue were great because we got introduced to a specific character, like the Karen of the town, and she got her comeuppance at the end. It was kind of like a satisfying thing, to be honest with you. So, yeah, everything else you guys said is spot on. One of the best books for sure.
That satisfied you, Nick? Man.
It's true. Yeah, it did. I need to go. I need to schedule another therapy session. I think, perhaps.
Hell yeah! All right, Manny, what's your pick for round 2?
Let's go Kill Your Darlings 4 because I liked it and you guys took all my other ones. I'm really enjoying Kill Your Darlings, and the beginnings. I know the first last time I talked about this book was with issue 1, and I wasn't so thrilled with like the witchcraft stuff at the beginning because I didn't see how it tied in. Even to this day, the like cold opens that they do in this book I don't always still follow where the hell that's going with Rose's story, but it's unsettling. I like it. It's setting the tone, and I'm here for it. I like that it really isn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be far more of the fantasy, cutesy animals. It really is just an exploration of this character, Rose, how the trauma in her life and how she grew up and how that's impacted the animals, which are kind of just got reflections of her, and how some parts of her can move on, but then some parts can't, just like how the one animal married the other there's just a lot of little nuanced things in there I really, really dig. And the level of violence is totally amped up, which is I don't know. I'm liking it. When she's like blacking out and that dude's ripping people apart in the video.
She wakes up and
hey, you're just seeing the gore, and then all of a sudden it's in your face. It's like just really well done, really well done. The tension worked. Good book.
I remember reading the first issue. It didn't grab me, and I haven't read any of the rest. But you mentioning the animals, I'm starting to piece it together. She's the one that has there's this like fantasy story going on at the same time, and then she's like in a
her mother was killed. She was committed. She breaks out later in life.
Okay, word. Okay. What about you, Carrie? You reading this one? Have you heard about it?
I've heard of it, but I'm not reading it. No, I've actually heard of this one. I'm not completely, losing.
You're not losing. Nick's losing tonight. Trust me. Brian, what about you?
No, I'm not reading this one. I've heard of it though.
Well,
there's so many books out, man.
So much.
Nobody's judging anybody for not reading a book or having heard of a book. Okay, we're just fucking around. All right.
Just daunting.
But Carrie, you were on the show last month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. All right. Nick, you're Manny's favorite person right now because
I love it. It's a great book.
You've heard about it. Well, you've read it, but you haven't heard about it.
Yeah, I've never heard about it, but I have read it though. It's a great. Yeah, I love that book. It's a great one. I want more connection with the witch stuff to current day because we don't quite know how that. I have my assumptions like that magic energy is bleeding into her reality and her imaginary worlds are coming to life and there's some stuff going on, but that hasn't been spoon fed to us just yet. Or maybe I'm just that stupid. Based on my picks tonight, maybe that's the case. But I'm waiting for that to happen. But yeah, like Manny said, it's kind of like Beneath the Trees where like it's unassuming and then all of a sudden people are getting ripped in half right in front of you and there's like Care Bears and magical unicorns and stuff and you're like, where the hell did that come from? So it's really gnarly, man.
Any book with the balls to just have a cold open where a mother is eating a baby in a bassinet and there's no fucking explanation for it at all. It's just there and then the story starts and it has nothing to do with that and you're just like, what the hell did I just see? It's so good.
This demon like possesses her best friend and like just like tortures her with the fact that she can't do a damn thing about it and he's burning in hell right now. It's got some pretty crazy themes to it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, I don't know if you're reading this one because it's not a DC book nor an indie written by Rom V, nor does it have killing bears. What do you think?
I actually am reading this book and I have a lot of questions about it. I'm enjoying it, but I think my biggest question, and maybe I'm just too stupid to not understand it, but it's like, what is real and what is not real? At the very beginning of, I think it was the first issue, it kind of alluded to like all this trauma is kind of where this fairy tale land is kind of where she would kind of hide away in her, but then it feels like we're just this world is kind of just continuing to open up, and I'm like, well, hell, is she really getting transported over to this fantastical world and this whole thing is real? Like
that world is bleeding into ours, and I assume it's because of the magical energy that's in the land that they're on. That's my assumption right now. But again, that hasn't been spoon-fed to us. She escaped to this magic imagination world because she was raised by a single mom who was completely drowning in stress, like trying to figure things out. All the panels with her and her mom are dark and gray. All the panels with her in her room, in her imaginary world, are vibrant and full of color. And so she lived in this world until I think the magic energy mixed in with this, and there's some evil, and then I think it's bleeding into our world. So
it sounds like, Chris, you just need to read it a bit more slowly.
A little slow.
With intention.
With more intention.
Ooh, touche, man. Touche.
All right, Carrie, what's your pick for round 2?
You know what? Since you said that to him.
Here we go.
It was between two books. And you did this to yourself, Robbie.
We saved it for you, Carrie.
You did this to yourself, Robbie. Because
I want to talk about Wonder Woman. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's talk about Wonder Woman. Yes, there are times where Tom King, what the hell, dude? Okay. And then there are times where he is just overreaching. And then there's times where he's right on the money. And all of those have occurred within this Wonder Woman run. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and say that Tom King is the best thing since Wonder Bread. His farts smell like peaches and cream, strawberries, and all that shit. No, I'm not going to say that. Because apparently I didn't read Danger Street, and apparently that ended horribly, if I want to believe my boyfriend.
And Brian.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
like
Brian's whole year was ruined by the ending of Danger Street.
He went 12 issues, and it was one of those things where it was like, man, he said to me, he was like, do I do this? Yeah, I can't not finish the run. And then he was just like, and there's nobody in my life that's more of a fan of Tom King than my boyfriend. Okay? Like, he likes Tom King's work a lot. But we're not talking about Danger Street. We're talking about Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman being the most absolutely wonderful thing of, you know, it's just, to me, it's the idea of feeling seen. Not necessarily in this crowd. This crowd of gentlemen, other people that I encounter online, not necessarily here. But lately there's been a lot of negativity in some facets of the comic book community, where there are certain people that I will not name that have outwardly said that women are the worst thing to happen to comic book industry. And to have somebody out there basically saying, not necessarily to that argument, but in general, that's all a load of bullshit.
Yeah, because the worst thing to happen in the comic book industry is the laziness of digital art. Women are like at least a number 2. That's a joke. I'm just joking. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
I need the chat. I need everybody watching to know, because
I
don't want Mark Miller calling me for an interview next week. So
Mark, and that's the thing, you know, like, and the acceptance of a large group of any community is very enticing. And to have like everything that, if you were a stone's throw of any social media about 2 weeks or more ago, and you were keeping abreast as to what people were saying, yes, there's a lot of stuff out there. There was one person, pretty high profile, I would say, brought to the forefront something that was of concern for a lot of people. I would say that the survival of this industry is of concern for everyone here on this panel, in more ways than one. But the way it was presented gave them a little bit more of an audience, a little bit more of power, because it garnered the attention of another certain person. And they used this newfound energy to put out there, you know, basically saying that women are the biggest, you know, problem in the comic book industry. And if people are saying, no, they didn't actually say that. Yeah, there are tweets that say, you know, women are the worst thing to happen in the comic book industry. But to have someone say that in more ways than one, that concept that women are the worst thing to happen is not only preposterous, but it's bullshit.
Yeah, because we all know the worst thing to happen to the comic book industry is the monopolization and consolidation of power that Diamond Comics held over this industry during the roughest of times. Women are at least a distant number 2.
Yeah. So the idea that there's this whole thing where you have this soldier that gets killed, and they make it look like a suicide, and the soldier supposedly has this note that blames Wonder Woman, basically kicking all their asses on the battlefield as the reason he kills himself. and it goes out there and it's in media and everything like that, and everybody's like, yeah, damn Wonder Woman, damn women, damn, strong women. And it's like, yeah, well, screw you all, it's the idea of questioning this ability for some people to question the place of feminine energy or women in the world. And I'm very much enjoying the fact that this is a big old FU to that idea.
Hell yeah. I will tell you this. This is my favorite issue of Tom King's Wonder Woman by far. I really like the story with her and the kid, like the Make-A-Wish type thing.
Great.
Love that.
Especially at the end when the kid is like, am I weird because I want to meet you and not Batman or Superman.
Yeah. I remember when I was in like kindergarten. I was 5 years old. I lived in Long Beach, Mississippi, and these dudes were like making fun of me on the school bus because I had a Wonder Woman superpowers action figure, and I was like, "What are you talking about? She's a member of the Justice League. She's badass." And that's just the way it always has been to me. This issue rocked though because the juxtaposition of that with everything going on with the president and the king. Not the king is not an individual, but it's just like this idea, this lineage, right? And structurally, very impressed with Tom King because even though it is a little still overly verbose, right? Mm-hmm. He's not using his narration captions to like explain what's going on in that scene, but he's using it to elaborate on or explain another scene or set something else up for another part of the story while overlaying that from something else. Like, so the juxtaposition really worked for me. What about you, Brian? What do you think about this issue of Wonder Woman?
I agree. This was my favorite of the run so far. I do think some of it's just a little heavy-handed certain ways. I just I don't know, some of that stuff with the president and all that stuff. I was just kind of like, okay. But I love Wonder Woman, and he's writing Wonder Woman as she is in my mind. Mm-hmm. And I love that. That because that stuff with the kid and the way she stood up to the other Amazonians on the island, all this stuff. I love that. And when I can kind of look past some stuff when the character is nailed so well, and that art too, man. It's so good.
Yeah, and I just always love Biden being shown to be a chump too. I like that as well. What about you, Nick? What do you think about this issue of Wonder Woman?
I loved moments of this book. A lot of these moments, I like the idea, the juxtaposition, like we were talking about this whole narrative kind of being spun out of control and the giant conspiracy happening in between the pages of her making this child's day, right, and making their life essentially. And so I love the idea of that. I'm still trying to love this book. I'm still trying to really like this book. I love the art in it, and Tom King, I either love his stuff or I hate it. You know what I mean? And I'm on the fence still with this one. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, very similar, very empowering, very showcasing the strength of this person, and fell in love with that book. I'm waiting for this book to take a similar path to that so I can say, yes, I love this thing and it's great. So I'm waiting for it to really hit it for me. But I like some of the parts of the series so far. So yep.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I really liked this issue in particular, and I've been enjoying the series, but this issue for me, you've got the whole, basically the whole U.S. is turning on Wonder Woman, and the president's basically declared war on her and all Amazons, and her response to that is so. What makes Wonder Woman Wonder Woman? Most people in that situation, you, me, us, right, regular normal people, we'd be pissed off, we'd be angry. If we had the power of Wonder Woman, could we show restraint? Probably not. But Wonder Woman, being Wonder Woman, what does she do? She uses that time to spend the day with this young sick boy and makes his dreams come true. And I love that. I love that so much. It embodies it encapsulates who Wonder Woman is at her core. She's fierce. She's mighty. She knows when to show restraint. She's a warrior, but she's also full of love and compassion. She's a freaking hero. She's badass. I can't think of a single issue of Wonder Woman that I have felt as connected to her as I felt in this one, and how much appreciation I felt for her character. I loved issue 4. I thought it was the best of the series so far.
Nice. Manny, any thoughts?
No.
Okay.
Well, hey, I did want to say, like, what I meant by the heavy-handed was that somehow, like, they got all of America to go against her. I mean, like, I hate. Yeah. I don't like that. To me, that's a fallacy. It's like Ozymandias's plan. You know, you're not going to bring people together.
What I'm hoping is in the future issues we start seeing pockets of support.
Yeah.
People.
And,
standing
one
up.
thing.
Yeah.
One thing too, with the ongoing story of Dawn of DC, right? Amanda Waller has been doing a pretty good job of turning the population against the superheroes already.
Yeah,
right? So
and everything is connecting, and it's everything is connecting, and it's really great. You know, this whole Amanda Waller thing, in Penguin, in Wonder Woman, in Green Arrow.
Yeah, like if anybody read that new Green Arrow, like Oliver's the only one who notices this, right?
And,
like he's the only one who notices this is all fucking weird. Batman's possessed by a multiverse of Zero-N-R. Wonder Woman's outlawed by the Nation. Superman's working with Lex Luthor. What? The Titans are in charge. There's a giant Garo out in space turning people into animals. What the hell?
Right. And also Taylor, excuse me, mentioned that the omniscient narrator in Wonder Woman drives me batty. That comment in the chat. I have a theory involving what the narrator is and who the narrator is, because you don't know quite who the narrator is, but I'm pretty sure it's Steel.
Okay. The general colonel dude, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with Ouroboros. I thought it was Sovereign. I thought it was the bald old guy.
Yeah.
No, I think that Steel obviously hates her because of the position he's in and what he believes. But there's also like this weird sense of like respect that also exists there. Like, I hate you and I hate that I can't defeat you, but respect, Yeah. And that's kind of how he's definitely, he hates that he likes her even just that little bit. And that's what I get from the narration.
Word. All right.
Nice.
But yeah, it seems like we all, for the most part, thought this was more the strong issue of Wonder Woman so far. Join us throughout the year of 2024 when we determine here on this panel live every month if this is the Dark Knight Returns that Wonder Woman truly deserves.
I think he's trying. He's trying, but we'll find out. We'll have to see.
All right, I got an obligation to get to, and I know that the dude's like, take your time, but we're not. But we're going to do my last pick real quick, and then the most rapid fire we got, right? I mean, like, rapid fucking fire. All right. I'm going Bone Orchard Mythos, Tenement number 7, because it is the best issue of the entire run so far. Why? Because we finally know what the fuck is going on, and not that the books were bad. They're all atmospheric. They're all compelling. They all are character-driven. But now seeing the larger scope of what's going on and what the meaning of the 7 is, and we get the big revelation in this one, y'all, about, like, what's really going on behind the scenes. And I was so worried this would be a little bit too Gideon Falls. It's separate from that, but at the same time, it's Lovecraftian. It's Mignolian. And it's fucking awesome. And I only picked Duke because I thought it was more new reader friendly than Tenement number 7. But Tenement number 7 is by far one of the best books of this year.
It really is.
Brian,
it really is.
What'd you think?
I'm loving. You nailed it. I mean, I'm loving the all of the Bone Orchard stuff, and wow, I said at that time without having to pause. Because
we always say boneyard.
Like you always want to call it boneyard.
Boneyard.
Orchard. And then I get confused.
Orchard.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like one thing I like also. Well, it's also just kind of watching Andrea Sorrentino keep growing too.
Yeah.
I mean, because his stuff from, was it was it Green Arrow? Didn't he do it like a Green Arrow?
Yeah,
He
run
did.
with,
He
Jeff
did a
Lemire?
Batman
Lemire.
recently, actually.
Yeah.
He did a Batman Black Label recently.
And Wolverine
Oh gosh,
and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and it was just what was the Batman one?
that
Crap.
Sorrentino did.
The
Yeah,
Joker Smile one or something.
no,
But not that one.
no.
It was the Matt Thompson
Imposter. The
Imposter, yeah.
Imposter. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. I remember that one. But yeah, that I just remember seeing that Green Arrow one because I think that was the first time I noticed him. You know, and it was like he was doing a lot of really inventive things with the panels and everything like that, and he just keeps leveling up all that visual presentation of the stuff, and it's so I like it's there's not a lot of words in these books, and I dig that.
Yeah, Tom King.
mean,
I wonder if he reads Jeff Lemire and what he
No.
thinks.
I wasn't trying to stir that up. I'm not trying to say like I don't like to
I'm
have
just
a lot of words in
joking.
comics.
Well, I got to read
there-
Tom King more slowly, man. I've been trying to do that, Chris. I really have.
But yeah, and I am trying to resist the urge to pile on that Danger Street. That last issue sucked. So bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
believe me, you would find a definite brother in arms with my boyfriend.
I can't believe y'all made it to the last issue. That's telling.
Yeah.
He has.
All right, Brian. We
he
ain't
has
got time.
commitment.
We ain't
Yeah.
got time, Brian. Nick,
Yeah.
Tenement,
What did I
do you
think? Good
Good pick, Robbie.
Yeah. Great issue. Connective
I'll give
tissue.
you a whole show to bitch about Danger Street if you want, bro. Okay.
I appreciate the connective tissue because I think the series needed it for sure, and it didn't quite. I wasn't expecting it. It came out of left field, so like it was a very welcomed issue. The art in here, those panels of essentially the underworld and the 7 demons or whatever they might be, that
Mhm.
those spreads in
Oh,
the
yeah.
center of that book. Then the
Oh, God, those
transition.
are lovely.
Oh, those are amazing. Then the transition of the PI as he gets older on that one page, and then he meets the kid, just like
Yep.
shivers, right? It's like, oh my
Mhm.
God, this is going to be great. I'm glad they
Last
gave
panel.
us this context. Yeah, very
I-
good.
I'm just so glad that Rom V's Rare Flavors and Lemire and Sorrentino on Tenement did not make me regret really pushing for them on the nomination special that Chris did.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think about Tenement?
I like it a lot. You know, I'm not going to repeat everything y'all said, but I think it's a slow burn book, and we needed this issue to just connect everything. That revelatory issue, and it makes you happy, excited that you stayed on board all those issues, and we're rolling, man. This is a fantastic comic.
And one of the best things it did was it made me want to immediately go back and reread the whole thing, not just Tenement, but all
Me too.
Passageway and 10,000 Black Feathers. And because, you know, they've been using the symbolism of like circles, and they've been
Yeah.
using tunnels and wells and all that stuff from the beginning.
Yep.
What about you, Manny? Speaking of using holes since the beginning, you're familiar with
Dude,
holes, especially assholes.
Absolutely, every single one of them. I've been saying that's what this book has been about. The entire time has been about holes. Really good. Last issue we had those pod people, and there was a lot more action, a lot more scares. There was something really cool about the way this book was laid out. Like it was 6 panel grids like the entire fucking time. We haven't seen Sorrentino's art is all over the damn place. There's something about forced restriction that heightened the tension. It was like he wanted you to pay attention. So by doing so, he forced himself
Forced restriction.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
yeah.
Or confinement. I
Yeah.
immediately think of like Resident Evil, where the
Yeah.
camera put you in a place where you couldn't like it put you in a very unnerving position.
Absolutely.
And it made it very terrifying. Right.
And I think that the idea that Sorrentino restricted himself to 6 panel grid layout the entire time, very minimal splashes of red in this one. I mean, there's not. It just it was so different, and because it was so different, it made the revelations feel bigger, and I really
Yeah.
dug it. I liked it.
Dave Stewart just soaring. That's why I picked him for Colorist of the Year. And I know he always gets a lot of love, but damn, his work
He's
on
killing it,
Tenement
though.
and Detective.
Yeah.
Holy cow. What about you, Carrie?
Just wanted to kind of add to what Nick mentioned to Average Comics Joe in the chat. Yeah, I hadn't read anything else that was Bone Orchard Mythos, and I jumped into Tenement, and I'm loving it. So it definitely makes me want to go back and read the other stuff. But you can just read Tenement. I did. So
and you can, but just go. You want to, because surely some of these characters and some of these other concepts. And what's cool is when I want to go back and reread to see what entities are affecting which stories.
mhm.
Yeah, that's the cool.
Yeah, because you get the idea like from this issue alone, where everything's starting to connect. And I was watching Chris's show this morning, where he was talking about Tenement, and I hadn't read it yet. I read it early. I read it after that today, and like he's talking about how everything's like, everything starts connecting, and you have this character. And I'm like, it's totally this character, and I totally guessed it right before I even read it. Like, and I was really loving one thing in particular. I love the whole thing. I love that Jeff Lemire has this ability, and I've said it before, probably here, where Jeff Lemire has this ability to make you so freaking confused, but you're still so invested.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what the hell is going on, but you want to read more.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And that's the way I feel about that. That's the way I felt about Phantom Road, all those other ones out there. But the art and the way it's presented for the seven demons made me think of tarot cards, and I thought it was so like some gnarly tarot cards, right?
Yeah,
like
it's like
so
an
cool.
inversion of the endless in a way. It's like an upside down version of the endless in a way, and I really fucking love it. Like the mythology's been being built the entire time right beneath their noses.
Right.
It's like a demented version of the Major Arcana. So if you know tarot at all, like the demented version of the Major Arcana, like the first 7 cards.
Absolutely. The Fool, the High Priestess,
the Magician,
the Empress, the Emperor, the Magician, all that shit, right? Yeah. All right. What a great show, everybody. Time to get into rapid fire. And I mean the most rapid fire you got, because Verno is waiting for me right now because we're recording a cool show about one of the most significant horror films of all time, Night of the Living Dead. That will be airing next week. I'm very pumped to be chatting with him about that. But let's finish up this show in grand fashion, y'all. Last time for the year.
Original or 1990?
Get the fuck out of here, Carrie. You know we're talking about the original. I said one of the most important movies of all time.
I love
as much as I love Savini's remake. Let's be honest, that's not one of the most important movies of all time. Brian, rapid fire. Let's kick off that final rapid fire round of 2023.
Okay, got issue 2 of Gargoyle of Gotham. Did not like it as much as issue 1, but it's still Raphael Grompa killing it. This can't come out fast enough for me. The conclusion of the current Doctor Strange run, issue number 10. Really liked everything about this issue run.
Brother.
Oh, seems very.
It's not over.
It seemed endy. But anyway, the epilogue in it was pretty good with Clea and everything. It explained some stuff that was really cool, and I love Clea too, and I'm just so glad they're back together. Then the final issue of Crusader by Matt Emmons. Please seek out Matt Emmons' work. Dude's fantastic.
Yeah, he's cool.
Just such clean lines and a pretty good storyteller. Beyond Real, Zach Kaplan.
Yep.
This first issue blew my freaking mind, man. I didn't know what to expect, and I just thought it was really cool. And I think it's the first new Vault book that I got super excited about after I put the first issue down, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's been a while since Vault's really excited me. That's what Matrix 4 wanted to be, by the way.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah, and then I gotta give a shout out to my cousin Ibrahim Mustafa. Did a fill-in issue of Wolverine, so I bought an X title for the first time in a while, except for Children of the Atom because of Dennis Camp. That was good. But yeah, I actually enjoyed this issue, and I love watching him draw Wolverine. I mean, and Spider-Man and some other ones in there. So,
hell yeah.
And he will have his graphic novel coming out sometime. I think 4 or 5 months.
All right, we got to bring him back on the show then, man.
Yep.
That way we can grill him again about Superman 4 and why it's not the greatest Superman film of all time. All right.
Yep.
Don't hold that against Ibrahim, though. He's a great artist. Check out his work. Retroactive, Count. Read those in particular. Those are really, really cool books from Humanoids. I was gonna say something smart ass. I forgot. So Nick, go ahead. Rapid fire. What you got?
All right, I'm gonna bring this back. I'm 0 for 2. I'm gonna bring some bangers this time, guys. Yeah, I promise
Here
you.
we go.
Geiger Ground Zero, issue number 2. Conclusion to the origin story of the radioactive man. Insane. It's a must read if you care about this universe at all. We have Ghost Machine coming up. Got to be reading this book. It was spectacular.
Every single Ghost Machine creator has just been announced for MegaCon, by the way. So I am so freaking pumped.
Oh, nice.
I get to meet Brad Meltzer. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I know I tell everybody to go really fast, but I keep getting distracted.
No worries. Ground Zero, issue number 2, must read if you're into that stuff. Transformers issue number 3, action fucking packed issue from start to freaking finish. Amazing spreads in here. It was spectacular. Your heart was racing the entire time you're reading this issue. A lot of cool stuff coming out of that one.
Do you want to see Optimus Prime beat another Transformer with his own arm?
Ripping his own arm. That
great.
page? Insane.
Love it.
Felix art tomorrow, 11 Central. All that shit's dropping. All that shit's dropping. Even CGC's. Canary issue number, what is this, 2? Love this book. I don't know why I didn't read it on Comixology. Totally digging this book. It's awesome. Not as many Snyder-isms as you're used to. Cool story. I'm digging it. Western, demons, conspiracy theories, all sorts of shit. Awesome stuff. Dracula issue number, what is this? I don't even know. 3. We talked about artwork before. Martin Simmons completely killing it in here. Absolutely amazing. Seeing the effects of Dracula being in this town and how that affects people in like a subtle way. His allure, bringing the different women in and things like that. It was a crazy book. It's really awesome. Still trying to figure out the mystery of that. So cool. Last book, Batman Offworld issue number 2. You guys recommended issue number 1 last month. I read issue number 1, blew me away. Read issue number 2. Amazing that like the feeling of the bat. He's just trying to like find where the aliens' balls are, so he knows how to attack these things when it's time to go. You know what I mean? That's all this issue is. Is it in their elbow? Who knows? Are they Volchinians? Maybe, but we're gonna find out in here.
Volchinians.
And that's what this book is about. And I love the theme of the bat being a center stage in this thing. And he's taken his badassness off world. Killer, man. So
Jason
I'm gonna
Aaron, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna end strong with those rapid fires.
Yeah,
there you
really,
go.
you've totally made up for
there you go. There you go. Those are really my picks of the month, but I wanted to shine some light on some other underappreciated books first.
Jason Aaron has been reinvigorated over at DC. These 2 issues of Batman Offworld and his first issue of Action, y'all. It's so freaking good. Trust me, you're gonna love it. Check out Action 1061. Speaking of Chris, he's gonna be checking out Action 1061. So rapid fire, man. What you got?
Heck yeah, I am. And just real quick, Carrie and Manny both said they watched Lost in Comics during the show. So this is how the cool kids do it. Here's a little heart for you. But Where the Body Was, we got a Brew Baker Phillips sweet treat to end the year. That's a graphic novel that came out this month. Fantastic. Everything you'd expect from that team. Midlife or How to Hero at 50, issue number 3. If you are age 35 or over, you are going to feel like the main character in this book is you, and he's fighting for you in this book. You're going to feel a connection to this character and his friends. The dialogue, the interactions, it makes you feel invested in these characters. A fantastic read. Let's see, Nick took 2 of my books here. Let's go with the Sacrificers, issue number 5, Image Comics. Man, this world just continues to open up. We learn more secrets about how the secret elixir that keeps the gods young is made, who's making it. The art in that book is just absolutely ridiculous. The line work, the colors, the letters. It's one of the most beautiful books that you can read for the whole year of 2023. Here's one that I would not anticipate ever talking about on a best of monthly show, but I'm going with Amazing Spider-Man. I know, don't choke on your drink, Robbie. Marvel Comics, Zeb Wells on writing. What is happening right now? I have wanted to say something positive about this title for the longest time, and now that I'm enjoying it, I have to say something positive about it. I think maybe the creative team was just trying to do too much in those first 30 plus issues. And now we are in the midst of this gang war event, and they have to solely focus on the event. And I think they're doing a fantastic job of providing a solid Spidey event. And then there's the Luke Cage tie-in that's been solid, written by Rodney Barnes. I like it. I'm enjoying it. Probably the best thing from Spider-Man for the whole year 2023, and probably last year as well. Action Comics 2023 annual came out yesterday. This was the last concluding issue for Philip Kennedy Johnson's run. Man, I love Philip Kennedy Johnson as a writer. He did a fantastic job on the War World issues, and this was a nice, heartfelt issue paying homage to what Superman represents. He's hope, right? He's hope for tomorrow. This is just a nice bow on everything that he's worked on, and he's just a fantastic creator. I'm going to do one more book. Alex Cooper, issue number 3, came out this month from Dynamite, written by Rodney Barnes. Not a book that I would have anticipated to be on my pull list, but this is a hell of a lot of fun. The devil basically has been entertaining fallen angels and even God at one point, but one thing he's never been able to obtain is the adoration and the attention of all humankind. And he wants their adoration. In order to get that, he's taking all the rock stars off the board in the entire earth. But there's one rock star that will not let him, and that is Alice Cooper. It's just a fun comic book. Alice has the power of rock and roll, and he's also got heaven's angels on his side. Such an entertaining comic. Alice Cooper, Dynamite. Fantastic comic. There you go.
It is a fun book.
It's
really
fun.
is.
It's
really
a ton of fun.
I'll tell you this. I love Rodney Barnes. We had him on the show recently, and he's such a cool dude, very laid back. But the idea that Luke Cage is just putting on a mask and running out there with his wife and his best friend, and no one's supposed to know that that's Luke Cage is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Aside from that, yeah.
All right, Manny, rapid fire. What you got?
I gotta say, Radiant Black 27 or 27.5 if you're nasty. Totally different, just totally different stories now. Now you gotta spend the fucking money. Like before they were still pretty close. You were like, I don't have to do the 0.5 because Nathan's an asshole. I like Marshall. But no, now I gotta buy both, so buy them both, damn it. But no, I really liked City of Madness. Batman City of Madness, Christian Ward, really, really strong book. Thematic, I'm really liking the one. I love the way they render Two-Face, but two, the Alfred Pennyworth storyline stuff that we're getting. I love that the most. I really like I like the philosophical exploration there. And then if you know. Christmas is a busy time, an emotional time, lots of stuff going on, lots of craziness. If you want something that's like a well-worn glove that hasn't changed, read fucking Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 115. It's the exact same thing that's been happening forever. It hasn't changed. Rita's still trying to make Tommy an evil ranger. So if you're down for that type of shit, keep reading it because it's just gonna keep going. Keep buying it because as a Power Rangers fan, I don't want this to move into new territory. I don't want cool shit to happen. I want it to be the exact same. Yeah, keep spending your fucking money buying this book because it's never going to change. If we just keep buying it and don't vote with our wallets that we want some difference, some changes. No. Yeah, just keep buying it. Just keep buying it. Keep buying that book.
People been doing that for Spawn for like 350
Goodness
issues,
gracious.
Manny.
ASM.
Goodness gracious. But honestly, the book that hit me, I mean, Tenement, everything we've already talked about, but the book that wasn't talked about that probably hit me the hardest, Alan Scott, Green Lantern, issue number 3 is an important fucking book. Read it. People shouldering on with thing. There's such a really cool story about being LGBTQ in America even today, but we're looking at it through a lens from a long time ago, and it's crazy the extreme measures in that time period versus what might not feel as extreme, but yet it's just hasn't changed. It's just changed forms. It's such a really interesting, it's such a really good story, and I love that there's also room to confront Alan Scott on like. Alan is very guarded because the cops beat his friends and stuff up for just being gay. His gay friends are being killed, and he's got guards up. But there's still room for Corrigan to challenge him on that. And
he's challenging him, dude. That moment though, where he like reveals God's take on it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my
Loved
god,
it. Loved it so much.
As soon as I saw the Spectre, I almost thought that's where they were gonna go. You know what I mean? Because he has that run-in with Jay Garrick, and you're like, okay, Jay Garrick's got kind of an old school way of thinking too. And they get Corrigan, and they're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be the Judeo-Christian perspective, and it's gonna be bad. And no, it's like Corrigan's. It just worked. It's such a good fucking book. I read Alan Scott Green Lantern. It's really good. It's really good.
Hell yeah. All right, Carrie, a lot of DC love tonight. So do you have anything left for rapid fire? What you got?
I do actually. I just want to reiterate what Manny is saying about the Alan Scott Green Lantern run. Very important storyline. Kind of going back and telling us the deal with people's experiences over time. And yeah, people have come a long way, but there's still a long way to go. And it's been tugging at my heartstrings each time I read it. So kudos to that one, and great pick. First one, nothing even particularly great about, I'm enjoying the story of Batman and Robin in Batman and Robin number 4, but mostly I want to talk about this artwork by Simone Di Meo. I think that's how you pronounce it.
It's good enough for me.
Yep, that'll pass here.
There's some wonderful moments, in particular in this issue and the issue before, that just looks absolutely beautiful, and it's all because of him. So that's one. Nice. See here, another one I want to highlight the art for, Sandman. Riley Rossmo did the art for the beginning of one of the more recent Harley Quinn runs, and I hated it. I wanted different art for Harley Quinn. Yeah. But I always said, I was like, I don't like it for Harley Quinn, but there's something there. There's something there. And then when you put him on Sandman, I was like, this is your home. This is where you need to be. Because there's this absolutely, I'm not going to pull it out because we got to get going. There's this wonderful splash page, 2 pages, full spread of the Sandman and the villain of his story going at it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I just knew Riley Rossmo had to find his book. More talk about the art, how every line has a reason, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Chris Mooneyham, the art. Yes, Larry Hama on the writing. My first G.I. Joe issue was 301. And I'm with you. It was so great, so wonderful, and covered all the bases, made it so I didn't feel lost. But for me, it's about this art where every line has a place, every line has an emotion, every line has an understanding, a perspective, everything. And it's just like, whatever. I can't even. I'm a writer and I'm at a loss for words. Okay. Storyline wise, I find this very interesting. Catwoman is doing this whole 9 lives thing where at the end of Gotham War, she fell into the pit. She gets revived by it's to me, it's very reminiscent of Batman Returns, where Michelle Pfeiffer's Selena Kyle falls out a window. She's pushed out the window. You know the deal. And she gets bitten by the cats, and now all of a sudden she's Catwoman, and she keeps talking about having the 9 lives. And that's kind of what we got here. We've got Catwoman gets visited upon her by this Catwoman and these cats, and she gets revived, and she's given these 9 lives. And now she's like, okay, so let's play. Let's have a little fun. Let's do things that I wouldn't do before because I didn't want to die. But let's try this out. So it's interesting. Of course, you got to talk about the Incredible Hulk. We've got some lovely Ghost Rider influence on this one. It looks like we're going to have more Ghost Rider in the next issue. Nick Klein back on the art. So great. Loving it. And then, you can't go away without talking about Tom King on the Penguin. this issue in particular.
Why you gotta
very
steal a Tom
interesting.
King book from me, Carrie? Come on. That was part of my rapid.
Tom King writing The Penguin. This is absolutely lovely. Another one that's kind of speaking to the idea of things that they've come a long way, but are also kind of taboo. And if you've read this issue of The Penguin, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's my rapid fire, guys.
Penguin, Tom King's best book of this year. My only problem with that issue in particular is he's using curse words like a 10-year-old who doesn't know how to say fuck right, doesn't know how to properly use it.
Yeah, I had to work through a couple of those balloons.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. So, Black Spider I'm just saying, got a potty mouth. Doesn't really work.
I think you fill the blanks in the way you want to, the way you see it.
No, there's specific words. All right, for my rapid fire, Spider Boy number 2, because I can't believe I like this fucking book. I cannot believe I like Spider Boy, but I do. Bloodrick number 1, Andrew Cranky. Holy crap, y'all! Read Bloodrick if you like Conan the Barbarian. You like that kind of stuff. You like really cool, like independent, detailed, textured artwork. Check out Bloodrick. It was so good. Skeeters number 1 by our friend homie Kelly Williams. Like giant monster. Like if you like 50s B movie giant monster, giant mosquitoes is what this book is about. It's really, really cool. Under Heist, number 1, David Lapham is back. And he's doing a really good job doing a heist book with a little bit of a different perspective. Faceless and the Family, number 2. What's his name? Matt Lesniewski? Is that his name? Yep. Fantastic artist. What a great story. It's like Pilgrim's Progress, but without all the religious connotation, a little bit more secular. Works for me. And The Deviant, number 2. James Tynan telling a really cool, personal, yet provocative story about a Santa killer, but also exploring a lot of themes about being gay back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. So like it's a really interesting perspective on a book, and it's about a Santa slasher. I just got done talking about 2 great Santa slasher movies on this channel. All right. Join us tomorrow night for a very special presentation of PCP Movie Night. We're going to be doing the last PCP Movie Night of 2023. We're going to be talking about New Year's Evil. I'm so excited for that. It's great. Check Brian out on PCP in 2024. Check Nick Comic Culture out. There's a link below to all these fantastic channels. He's got a great show. His Nick at Night weekly reviews. He's been doing the top-down look at some classic comics. You've just been doing some really, really good work. Chris has got his award ceremony presented by comic creators to comic creators on January 11th, but check him out every single week on Lost in Comics. One of my favorite channels to watch, him and Nick. Love you guys so much. And Manny's Manny, and I really appreciate you. And Manny is literally the glue that holds the PCP Army together. Manny, I love you so much. And you're not the best of us, but you're one of the best of the rest of us, if that makes sense. And then Carrie, big hearts to you. I love your perspective on the show. Thank you for joining us throughout the year. Everybody go check out Officially Unofficial Geek. Absolutely fantastic channel. Her and her boyfriend, Bizarro, do a really excellent job talking about comic books. And thank you all so much for 12 months of the monthly comic book review. You rock, but also we rock. So we won the award. We deserved it. It's yours too. So thank you all, PCP Army. And we'll catch you. We'll see you next year. Anyway, station, pop, pop.